It all comes down to this. 19 races after we started this championship off back in the summer of 2023, we finally get set to close it all out. And what better place than at America's home for motorsports. Hello one and all, and welcome to Green Flag TV. My name is Nolan Rempel alongside Austin Edstrom. This is the championship finale for the High Tide Racing League MFRD Designs Cup Series. Austin, 4 drivers remain entering tonight. It is winner takes all. There are no bonus points. It is just whoever finishes in front of the next. And I tell you right now, we're in for a great show with 150 laps ahead of us.
Oh yeah, Benjamin Lacey, Kevin Foster, Sean Britt, Ricky Hart Jr. all going to be running for that championship here tonight. They're going to put on a great show around this mile-and-a-half speedway, Charlotte Motor Speedway. One of the best mile-and-a-halves on the circuit. I got to say, this thing is old and abrasive at this point in its life cycle. Puts on really amazing top-tier shows, especially for a mile-and-a-half. Cannot wait to get this thing running, get this thing rolling. Right now, it's looking like Benjamin Lacey is going to lead us off from the pole currently as we click off the final 3 minutes of qualifying. But I'm excited for this one. Got to be excited for a championship race with the playoff system.
Oh, and we know this is going to be a wild race ahead of us, right? This is going to be one of those championship runs where this is going to be all-out grudge matching right down to the wire. The field size has picked up in the last couple weeks. We're up to 15 drivers looking to make race starts tonight. All 4 of your championship contenders have opted to make the grid here in this one. Sean Britt, one of those playoff 4, currently across the start-finish line as he is going to take off his second lap. He'll put himself to the front row alongside his title rival, Benjamin Lacey. But you talked about it right, you know, it's all going to be about strategy. It's all going to be about aggression. The big question is, how do the cautions fall? 150 laps, you know you're going to get at least one throughout the course of the night. Statistics say there's no other possibility.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit nervous there, even if you are the favorite, who I've got to say is probably Benjamin Lacey. But at that, or to your point, at any time that caution flag could fly and throw a wrench in the strategy. You know that if you are running 3rd or 4th in the points, at some point you are going to do some type of wild strategy called try to get yourself back into this thing. And so you could see someone running 3rd or 4th in that top 4, kind of make a crazy move, get that caution to come out, and all of a sudden find themselves in a position to win the championship. It all could come down to a little bit of a lucky break on strategy, which is a little wishy-washy with the championship, but at the end of the day, it being a mile-and-a-half instead of being at Phoenix like we typically see, I'm pretty happy with it. These cars put on a good show at the mile-and-a-halfs, way better than what we see at Phoenix, so I think no matter what happens tonight in terms of the strategy, we're going to have absolutely amazing racing on the racetrack.
Benjamin Lacey has got to be above and beyond the most favored to win the championship tonight. He enters this race with the most wins out of anybody. He's got 5. The next closest driver, Ricky Hart Jr., with only 3 wins to his name. Lacey's got 11 top 5s, 15 top 10s over the course of the season, and he was leading the way in the regular point series standing as well. But that buffer has been completely annihilated, so Lacey's got to do everything he's got to make sure he can put together one more good race and see if he can potentially lock out the championship at the end of the night as well. So by far, Lacey is the favorite to win. Who would we say is the underdog entering tonight?
Well, I don't know who we can really call the underdog for sure. I think if it's a short run to the end and Sean Britt's anywhere close to the front of the championship 4, I think you got to worry about Sean Britt, really. If it's a 10-15 lap run, I think he's had absolutely rapid short run pace. So if he finds himself up towards the front with a strategy call and can put himself on equal tires to the other guys, I think he could kind of swipe this thing towards the end. But I'm really looking at Ricky Hart Jr. You mentioned he's got 3 wins, probably the biggest competitor to Benjamin Lacey in terms of the long run speed here out of the championship 4. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ricky Hart give Benjamin Lacey a run for his money, but the problem is Ricky Hart is going to be starting in 6th place. Benjamin Lacey is going to be starting on pole.
Don't count out Kevin Foster either. Remember, 13 top 10s, 6 top 5s, only has 1 win to the name, but that win didn't come out of nowhere, right? That was no fluke. We know Kevin Foster's got the pace, so we could be looking out for the Canadians to potentially raise that championship trophy at the end of the night. But you see the cars gridding on up. We are ready to get this show underway. From the High Tide Racing League MFRD Design Cup Series' championship finale here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Starting on the pole tonight, Benjamin Lacey will be alongside Sean Britt. It's a championship 4, 1-2 to kick off racing action tonight. Dalton Carroll is down in 3rd with Nick Dickerson in 4th. Paul Wilson in Final Four contender Ricky Hart Jr. sits back in 6th. Your final playoff driver, Kevin Foster, sits in 7th with Brian Dees in 8th, Austin.
Michael Thorpe Jr. is going to be starting in 9th place with Jason Greenwell in 10th, Zachary Wareham in 11th, David Leakey 12th, Tony Hillbranch just missing the cut last week, going to be starting in 13th place, Connor Gibson in 14th, and Scott Schuer is going to round out your 15-car field.
Sure, the lone driver who did not put down a qualifying lap here in this one, so we'll see what Schuer's going to be able to make out of this thing. And I'm going to correct myself. Connor Gibson is not. Connor Gibson is a Canadian. I was thinking Kevin Foster, though. Foster is not a Canadian. He is very much from the States. In fact, he's from the Lone Star State. So he's about as far south of Canada as you could possibly get. So quick apologies to Kevin Foster, as he'll be looking to ride off from the number 7 spot. But all drivers have gritted on up, and we're going to get ourselves rolling. It's going to be intense, right? I mean, the first few laps, I think, are going to be the ones to watch. We could very well get an early caution here. Charlotte Motor Speedway has a tendency to be very loose in the early going. If ever there's going to be a yellow flag, it's going to be in the first 20.
Yeah, Charlotte's a tough racetrack. They get really loose coming out of these corners, or they at least can. You can feel that tight sensation through the center. If you don't wrap the bottom absolutely perfect, you could just have a little bit too much wheel put into it before you come off the corner, lose that back end, especially as you're coming over that hump out at turn number 4. It's a little bit of a trouble spot. I feel as if that turn 4 exit wall could come out of nowhere. And another little added bonus, or added thing to watch, I suppose, in this Championship 4 race is that the 4 championship contenders are separated across 2 race teams, right? The 2 that we see on the front row right now, Benjamin Lacey, Sean Britt, are both teammates. And then Ricky Hart Jr. and Kevin Foster, who are starting 6th and 7th, are also teammates. So we've got 2 different teams working together here. Even though you see our front 2 are in a Chevy and a Ford, they are teammates, even though they've got different manufacturers.
And we could see some of those teammate battles come into play today, or we could see them end up turning against each other. It could very well go both ways. When a championship is on the line, there doesn't tend to be a whole lot in the way of team orders. It very much tends to be every man for himself. We'll see how this is all going to line up, though. The pace car is going to duck into pit road. We're happy that you're joining us for one final time on Monday night as we'll enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out. We're racing at America's home for motorsports.
The front 2, those teammates in the Championship 4, getting down into turn 1 side by side. Benjamin Lacey getting a little bit of a nose in front through the center of the corner, but Sean Britt holding himself on that outside, trying to stay to the outside of his teammate of Benjamin Lacey. Just barely has that right rear corner panel going down the back straightaway. Lacey being a little generous, knowing it's just lap 1 out of 150. Trying not to use that faster barrier too early as well, but going down to the turn 3, easily takes that position away from the 55. He's going to lead lap 1.
Benjamin Lacey heads the way, but Sean Britt trying to come back at him down into turn number 1 this time by. And Britt's not a driver that will be denied without a fight, as Britt going to try to make a lunge to go for the race lead. Not going to get there in turn 2. Fighting to the back straightaway. We're still double filing. It's a high-speed pace lap from 4th on back.
Yeah, those GFR cars, the big red propane cars that you see riding the top side right there. We saw last week at Richmond, they were mega committed to the outside, going all the way out to the wall. Nick Nickerson and Ricky Hart Jr. were. And we see it early here in turns 1 and 2. Yeah, they're stuck on the outside because we're 2 by 2 from that race start. But just look how high they run going into the corner. Look at Ricky Hart, still way out by the wall, trying to get every little bit he can, using all the racetrack. Not quite typical at Charlotte, I gotta say, at least on iRacing. I feel like that middle lane can do something for you. But man, running all the way out by the wall, it worries me a little bit in the early going, especially being that playoff contender in the 28 with Ricky Hart Jr. It's a little scary up there, but he's making it work just like he did at Richmond. I mean, he was dumb fast at Richmond, but he did end up going around in the in the middle stages of that race. So there is some risk.
You can see where the playoff 4 are currently in the field, highlighted in blue on the left-hand side of your screens on the timing tower. Lacey and Britt run 1, 2, Foster and Hart 6th and 7th. Interesting then that all the playoff contenders are running a line astern to one another in their own respective teams. And right now, the only 2 drivers that have changed hands for position in your championship order have been Foster and Ricky Hart Jr. They have exchanged hands for that 6th position early on in just the first lap of this race. And now we're looking to single file this one out as drivers start to settle in for the long haul.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see the teammates separated in the way that they are, to where they're in those little packs of 2 with each other. You know, if this was an open series and they were running the same setup, I could maybe see it. It would make a little bit more sense up at the front. Benjamin Lacey and Sean Britt maybe on the same setup, but everybody here is on the same setup tonight. Everybody using that fixed setup for the Charlotte Motor Speedway So a little bit surprising to see them kind of grouped up in the way that they are here in the early going, but still a long time to go to see who saves tires a little bit better, who can just hang on to that race car for the long run. Because to your point, I think we're going to get that caution at some point, but I do also think that long runs are going to be the name of the game here tonight.
Single file out for the first time tonight. Did not take long for them to get into one line as we will run on lap number 6. Paul Wilson trying to look to the top side. He's trying to improve his positioning as he's going to lunge around the top. He'll pick off 4th, try to get around Nick Dickerson. The driver of the number 2 car down 1 position. He started on row 2. He's back to 5th now. And Paul Wilson making a pretty commanding pass around the top shelf there for 4th. Now gunning for 3rd to get around Kilrow.
Yeah, Paul Wilson really gunning for it here in the early going. You got to think that's actually a teammate to Kevin Foster and Ricky Hart Jr. You could think maybe he's playing a little bit of teams games. Oh man, Kilrow really did not enter the corner there. Paul Wilson thought he was going to get to the outside, was not quite able to do it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Paul Wilson go up here and just try to challenge the front 2. Maybe put them off their game just a little bit, make them run their tires a little bit harder to allow Kevin Foster, to allow Ricky Hart Jr., his 2 teammates in the championship, for an opportunity maybe just to kind of catch up after he wears out the front 2's tires. But here he's just struggling with Dalton Kilrow. Can't even get up to the front 2 currently.
Now, what Kilrow and Wilson have got a problem now is wondering how they're going to get around these guys in the front, right? Or do they even want to go that far? Remember, those are playoff contenders. These guys, it does not matter if they win. They will not get a shot at the championship tonight. It is all up to the top 2. How desperate are you for that last bout of glory to close out the season to upset potential championship fights that are for the lead of the race?
Again, if it's Wilson, if it's Nickerson, I think they do it heavily if it's Benjamin Lacey or Sean Britt leading the way. Now, if it's Kevin Foster or Ricky Hart Jr. leading the way, Paul Wilson and Nick Nickerson are just going to let their teammates ride out to the sunset and not really bother them too much. But with it being Lacey and Britt out front right now, if Wilson can get around Kilrow, I think he's going to put him under pressure as soon as he possibly can.
Nickerson to the inside of Wilson. He'll pick him off for 4th, coming down into turn number 1. Although Wilson still charging around that outside groove, and you take a look at the overspeed that 86 car can get. Just gets such a good drive, firing down the back straightaway, and Big Red Propane's number 2 is going to yield it. In fact, that's going to settle for a slingshot down to the 3, nearly into the back of Kilrow.
Kilrow just enters turn 3 so late. You can tell he's going for that late apex, trying to get that wheel straight coming off the corner so that he uses as little tire as possible, trying to save that right front. But it's kind of worrying me because I feel like Paul Wilson's just going to absolutely clobber him going down into 3 one of these times. Man, going all the way up to the wall is Paul Wilson. Looks like he might be trying to duck to the inside here just a little bit. Not quite going to be committed to that outside line, but Kilrow just runs right in front of him. Mirror driving a little bit going down into 3.
You can see as well how packed up a good chunk of this field is. I mean, the top half still separated by under a second, right? This is about as close to pack racing as you're going to get at 1.5 miles here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's one of the fastest quad ovals you got on the surface, just short of the newer version of Atlanta. Kilrow, sizable pass to get around Sean Britt and put Kilrow now up to 2nd. He's going to be the first driver to blink and disrupt this battle for the championship, as he's going to tuck in line between 1st and 3rd. Now the question is, can he get around Benjamin Lacey and take the lead?
Yeah, to your question earlier about whether these guys are going to fight him for that lead, you got to think drivers like Kilrow, who've shown speed all year, especially on the 1.5 miles, I got to say. Kilrow, I remember at Atlanta, he was dumb quick at old Atlanta, but just had that pit road speeding penalty. As he's to the outside of Benjamin Lacey, he's going to be going for it the entire night. He is fast at these 1.5 miles, and he has not won this year. He is going to try to take the lead. He's going to try to win this thing, and he is doing it around the outside of Benjamin Lacey right now through 3 and 4.
And he has shown that he's got the pace in order to contend for these top spots, right? 6 top 5s. That's not a fluke. That's a pattern. So the 41 car's got the pace to win these races. He's just always been victim of circumstance in so many races. And then, of course, if you remember, I believe it was Kilrow that had that eye surgery earlier in the year as well, was it not? He was on controller for a good bit of the season. It definitely does not help that 41 car. He's looking, though, to maybe show that he's got the pace to win these races and set him up for a good title offensive coming into season 2.
Man, that late apex for Kilrow really cut off the nose of Sean Britt. Britt was rolling the center of the corner through 3 and 4 really good under his championship 4 teammate of Benjamin Lacey. Just could not quite complete the pass because Kilrow took all that clean air away from his nose in the middle of the corner. Sean Britt having to kind of recycle back to 3rd place, trying to fight once again. But Paul Wilson is under fire by all 3 of his teammates, Nick Nickerson and the 2 that are actually in the championship 4. Wilson just kind of holding him up at this moment. I feel like maybe he burnt up those tires trying to get around Kilrow here in the first 10.
Still working to the high side, so he clearly still thinks he's got some kind of momentum on the top side of the racetrack, although he's got Nick Nickerson now alongside him into that quad oval, as he's going to make their, well, they might exchange hands here for fourth. They will exchange hands for fourth. The two way down to the bottom, going to pick off Paul Wilson as the number 2 continues his charge into the top 5, now working the back straightaway right behind Sean Britt, trying to go at him. You've also got a bit of a second pack forming way in the background, headed up by Jason Greenwald, and then a side-by-side fight for 13th and 14th here between Connor Gibson and David Leakey.
Yeah, Connor Gibson on the outside of Leakey here out of turn 4. You know, I feel like that turn 4 exit is very, very sketchy. That wall comes out of nowhere. Gibson avoiding it there, coming out of the corner, taking lap number 17, still holding on to that outside of round David Leakey. Gibson, race winner this year, actually came through at Michigan with a last lap craziness. I don't really even know how to describe it. We saw everybody wreck on the last lap except for Connor Gibson, who came through and won that thing. But credit to Gibson getting that W, his first win in the HTRL Racing League. So Racing Designs Cup Series, goodness gracious, it is on the top. We learned this last week, and I still have trouble. I don't understand what's wrong with me. But Tony Hilbrandt's trying to kind of make up for that little bit of disappointment last week at Richmond, getting eliminated. Probably thought that he should have been in the championship had a good opportunity, just could not quite seal the deal. But here he's moving up to 7th place. He started a little bit further back at the beginning of this race in 13th, so he's doing a really good job saving his tires a little bit better here this week than he did last.
Bit of a wiggle there for Wilson and Michael Thorpe Jr. coming out of turn 4. They nearly got hooked together coming off of that final corner, and so having a bit of a close shave there, but they're going to get themselves back sorted. 2 other drivers, Kevin Foster and Ricky Hart Jr., now only have Nick Nickerson between them, and then your top 4 in the points will be they'll be pushed up line and starting against one another on the running order. Right now, that 2 car, the only one that's keeping this battle at bay from his own teammates, as they work their way out of turn number 4 and back to the front straightaway. Lacey and Britt, they may be trying to just hang on to the back end of Kilroe. You reckon maybe some fuel saving going on, trying to manifest a long-term strategy?
I mean, that definitely could. It's always beneficial to hold a little bit more fuel in the tank, and you got to think Benjamin Lacey probably is thinking that he's not racing Dalton Kilroe. I don't think Lacey cares if he wins this race one bit. I don't think Sean Britt cares if he wins this race one bit, unless they have to beat each other to win the race, right? If they finish second, but it's behind Kilroe, oh well, you got the championship. Who really cares? But right now, Sean Britt's under fire from Nick Nickerson, and this is worrisome because it puts him right under fire of the other 2 that are in the championship war if he gets passed by Nickerson. And I gotta point out, last week Nickerson in the race-winning interview, because he won last week at Richmond, talking about how much he disliked the next gen and how much it was, or how difficult it was for him to kind of get that speed as we see championship contender Kevin Foster just trying to tackle wall on the back. Instead, it typically takes him about half a race to get the speed under him to kind of figure out the thing at any given racetrack. But right now, running in the top 4 and looking for that P3 position in the early going this week, I'd be really worried if I was the rest of the field seeing Nick Nickerson this fast in the early going.
Zachary Wareham going to make an early pit stop. The driver of the number 27 Ford Mustang is going to be down and into pit road. He is the first driver to make his way down in this championship race under green. Only 22 laps in. That doesn't bode well for Wareham unless, again, he's on a long-term strategy here. Oh, in fact, you saw right there the right rear fender kind of getting poked out. So I believe he found the wall, and he's going to be calling the quits.
Yeah, a little bit of early exit there from Wareham in the 27. Looking back at the front of the pack, though, Dalton Kilroe still holding on to that lead from Benjamin Lacey. Lacey probably struggling a little bit in the dirty air from Kilroe. Kilroe made a good move getting around both Lacey and Britt not too long ago, but it just seems like Lacey's got a little bit more pace after this 20-lap mark. He's kind of been reeling Kilroe a little bit, or back in a little bit, not letting the 41 get away. Doing a really good job. The driver of the 7 just being patient now, kind of ducking his nose down to the bottom before they get to that second dog leg. Looks like he's going to be to the inside before they get to turn 1.
Not by much, though, as he really had to lunge that thing down and in to make that work as he fires off a turn number 2 to the back straightaway. You saw him try to get an attack, but Dalton Kilroe just getting too big of a drive, so he's able to keep his nose clean and out in front of this field. Meanwhile, Kevin Foster, one of the other championship contenders on the backslide, it looks like, as Brian Dees has entered the party.
Yeah, Dees, I feel like he just saved those tires really, really hard at the beginning of this run. He was way back, about 8th, 9th, running the entire time here, the first 20 or so laps. And he's kind of catching all of our championship 4 contenders out of nowhere, looking to the inside of Foster. And he's making it look relatively easy. He doesn't have that pass done just yet, but he's gaining on our race leaders right here while he's side by side with Foster. Impressed with these in the early going, just saving those tires a little bit. But man, they are tight, racing up in the front too. Kilrow almost into the wall, out of turn 4. Really pinching Benjamin Lacey to the bottom of the racetrack through 3 and 4.
Trying to pinch that 41 car in. There you see Lacey trying to work his way down on the bottom side of the racetrack. We'll see what it's going to be off of. Oh, a big check up there for Lacey. Couldn't make it work, although, boy, he did ever try as they run now back into turn numbers 3 and 4. Kilrow and Lacey nearly having to come together off the second turn, and that's cost Lacey about a third of a second.
Yeah, and I know they were side by side through 1 and 2. Probably cost Kilrow and Lacey a little bit of time, but Ryan Dees cut down another 2/10 out of the lead there from 6th place, making really, really good times. We got that side-by-side battle between Tony Hilbrands and Michael Thorpe Jr. here for that 8th place position. Gotta say, Kevin Foster kind of falling back here, falling off that lead, losing a little bit of time to the rest of the top 3. Not looking too good for the 8 here in the early going, but still 3 sets of tires behind the pit wall. Not over just yet as we're side by side for that 2nd place position in the championship. Ricky Hart Jr. looks like he saved his tires really well. Just like Ryan Dees right behind him. Looks like they're both going to be able to get past Sean Britt here going down into turn 1.
Well, Hart for sure gets clear. Dees I'm not convinced on, and Dees will have to wait one more to make it work, but Hart going to clear up and tuck in line. Going to keep that 55 car right behind him as they thunder back down in towards turn 3. Already almost 30 laps deep, right? And now you start to ask questions about that pit stop window because we know that it's not going to be too far off. We're thinking, I think the fuel run we've had so far, to a lot of them out in the halves, been about, what, 40-ish laps thereabouts? So, trouble Michael Thorpe Jr. around on the front straightaway. No caution, though, yet. Now the caution flies as Connor Gibson arrives late on scene.
Golly, that Connor Gibson scared me a little bit there. I think he knew what he was doing, but it looked like he was taking a beeline there for Michael Thorpe Jr. Able to keep it away from him, though. And, of course, as soon as the announcer starts talking about green flag pit stops, the caution comes out so we don't get to see him.
So about a fifth of the way into this race, let's take a look back and we'll show you what happened here to Michael Thorpe Jr. coming off of turn number 4 and side by side with Hilbrands, and well, he lost that one all by himself. Did rebound off of Tony Hilbrands. I think just tracked up too far and took the air off his own nose.
Good save from Hilbrands. Good job from Thorpe not hitting anything. I'm pretty confident he didn't go up and pop the outside wall. But yeah, it's just tough, hard racing out of 4. I mean, I mentioned that out of 4 is a really, really big trouble spot just because the wall feels like it comes out of nowhere. Well, whenever you're side by side, that car on the inside really feels like it comes out of nowhere because no matter what, it feels like the outside car just pinches you out of the corner because you have so little room working for you. As we're going to look on that onboard on the roof cam here from Thorpe Jr. You're going to see he dives it in pretty deep there on the 92. Able to wrap down onto the bottom pretty well. Gets on the gas just a little early. Slides up the racetrack. And you know, Hilbrands didn't pinch him. Didn't do anything wrong. Just using the outside line to his advantage. Tracked all the way up to the wall. But again, Thorpe just got on the gas just a little bit early. Tracked it out just a little bit too far, and unfortunately he's the one that went around, but fortunately no damage really to either of those cars, but God bless, that was close.
I think Gibson wasn't quite sure where to go, and that indecision nearly cost him a race as the entire field has come down and into pit road, save for Wareham, who remains the lone driver. That is one lap down. Nick Nickerson, the only driver to leave pit road, and he took fuel only. In fact, this is a good chunk of drivers taking fuel only in this one. The top 3 are all on fuel only. Kilroy and Lacey have both taken 4. Excuse me.
Well, we were talking about the strategy could come into play here in this championship race. That could be huge at the end, right? You got to be thinking Ricky Hart Jr. and especially Kevin Foster might have been thinking that they were struggling. And you know what? To be fair, this might have been their strategy the entire time because Kevin Foster started falling off pretty heavy at the end of that. They may have been thinking, hey, let's save a set on this first run anyway. And if we get that late caution, we're just going to blow these guys' doors off. So I think that might be what we're seeing from the 2 GFR playoff contenders and their teammate, Nick Nickerson.
It's an interesting call, right? I mean, the tire sets, we've seen it before where they've been short by a set. This may very well be one of those races as the 28 car going to go to the front and they're going to do a bit of formation. I am imagining this is for a team photo shoot. They saw the opportunity, they may as well go for it. So that's going to be for post-race artwork, I'm willing to bet.
I'm I'm thinking, because I know that this race was originally 200 laps. Most of our races have been a little bit longer. And you mentioned the tire sets, how we typically lose a tire set, or they have to save a tire set at some point. I don't think they have to, right? If they're planning on if they pit at 30 and they can make it another 35, it would be at 65. And then if they make it another 35, it'd be at 100. And that would only be using, what, let's see, the 30, 65? Well, I'd be using 3 sets, I suppose. So I guess that this is probably a good call, getting that save the set out of the way early. Just a little, I don't know, it's a little curious.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely got the possibility for this to be good in the later stages of this race, as a lot of these folks are going to now be able to be out on some pretty fresh rubber. But now a lot of your top contenders here, particularly Sean Britt and Benjamin Lacey, they're stuck further down the pack on fresh tires. Yes, they got a lot of guys on old tires in front of them. And Foster and Hart, they are two of the drivers that did not take tires. So they will be slipping back under this latest yellow flag.
I think it's a great call, man. I think it's a great call, honestly. I feel like Benjamin Lacey and Sean Britt have kind of dug themselves a hole here. If we get a caution again later where the Ricky Hart Jr. and Kevin Foster can come down and take tires, and Benjamin Lacey and Sean Britt can't, they're just going to absolutely fly away from them in the later stages of the race. So I like this call here from GFR.
I'll see what the call is going to result to as we'll enter the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air as the field rockets back down in towards turn number 1.
Yeah, Nick Nickerson holding on to that lead, going down into the corner. Again, those old tires, really got to pay attention. How quick does Kilrow get by him? How much does he force the issue as well? He knows that now he's 3 wide with 2 championship contenders, actually just 2, able to duck down to the inside here with Kevin Foster. I was about to say, man, he's really gunning for it against 2 of the championship guys, but really interested just to see how fast can Kilrow get through, how fast does Benjamin Lacey get through. And do either of those two save their tires relatively heavily, because we know they're going to have to save a set at some point. Knowing that the GFR guys have done it, but Kilrow get through relatively easy through most of them. Just has Nick Nickerson in his sights. Benjamin Lacey side by side for that championship lead currently, able to take the position easily as he's got the new tires. And now he's hunting down Dalton Kilrow, who looks like he's about to take the lead away from Nick Nickerson.
3 wide behind while they are side by side for the lead of the race. Coming down into turn number 3, just behind. Hart's going to bail out for the middle of 3 abreast, and now Kilrow going to take the lead away for the number 2 as they work out of turn 4. Benjamin Lacey will steal away second, and now they're going to be packed up line of stern. Sean Britt going to go with them, and that's a championship sorted now. Lacey, Britt, Foster, and Hart slipping back in a hurry, and in fact, Hart's going to lose the top 10 here before too long, as it's a bit of a mess in the back port, or in the middle portion of this field still. They thunder their way up towards the top side of turn number 3 and 4, and now Lacey again trying to attack for the lead.
Yeah, Kilrow pushed up through the center of the corner just a little bit, allowing Lacey to get to the inside. He's got a push from his teammate, Sean Britt, down there going into turn 1. Lacey drives it in deep down to the bottom, trying to clear Kilrow before they get down to the center of the corner. He's got to clear currently. Can Kilrow get that run off the corner? Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Benjamin Lacey back up to the lead, and the big red guys are going backwards. Again, it's all due to strategy. We know that they're just kind of playing the game right here, but it hurts whenever you're in the driver's seat, just seeing everybody skate away from you so fast and just having to be patient, knowing it's okay. It's going to come back to us at some point. But, man, we got a big gaggle here from the top 6 guys, all the way from Benjamin Lacey to Brian Dees in 6th place.
And Sean Britt now trying to pressure Lacey for that lead of the race as well, so it's not too far off to be seeing these guys making a bit of headway. Paul Wilson, by the way, last time by, fastest lap of the race with the number 86, put down a 29.53. So that 86 car on the move, but getting cut off from the 30 wide middle.
Yeah, just not enough room there in 3 and 4 at Charlotte. I mean, you can make it work, but you really got to trust everybody around you to be able to get off of that corner 3 wide. Kilrow able to hold it to make it just 2 wide through the center of the corner. Tony Hilbrand's looking to the inside now through 1 and 2. Still 2 wide coming off the corner, but it looks like it's going to cycle out to Paul Wilson being side by side with Hilbrand's now, as actually Sean Britt has taken the championship lead away from Benjamin Lacey.
Got the slingshot around the top side of turn number 2. Lined it up, made it work. Here's how it happened as Sean Britt sized up the move and said, see you later. That top side can really, really work for you if you know how to run it, especially on fresh rubber.
Yeah, it's fast. I mean, the slingshots they're getting down the straightaways is absolutely immense. Way bigger than I thought it was going to be on the outside of the racetrack. Makes sense whenever you're side by side and you're pinching somebody off the corner. and you just prevent them from getting to the throttle. But I'm just surprised at how much speed they have through the center of the corner, and they're able to keep that momentum so well, even on the new tires. I figured with the new tires especially, the guy on the bottom would be able to do a little bit more, be able to keep a little bit more throttle through the center of the corner. But, you know, Benjamin Lacey could just be saving as well, knowing that he's got to save a tire set at some point. This might be the one that he, or the set that he has on right now. He might be thinking about taking it 50, 60, 70 laps because he knows that those big red guys are doing it right now.
Kind of get a good idea of how the pit strategy shakes up, and we'll actually convert this into the actual pit stop time. That is a good indicator, right, of who's where. You see right how right about where the 8.8 seconds is, that break between 8th and 9th between 4 tires and fuel. Well, look on the timing tower. You get 8th place, David Leakey, who took tires and got the damage repaired, and then all of a sudden, 6 seconds off the leader now, Ricky Hart Jr. That is the difference in such a short span of time between taking tires and taking none 30 laps into a race.
Yeah, they're dropping fast. For this strategy to work out perfect for them, they're going to need a caution to come out at some point in the next, I would say, in between 12 to 20 laps from now would be absolutely ideal for those guys, because then Benjamin Lacey and Sean Britt would have to come down and likely not take tires on their next pit stop so that they could save their set that they have to save. And our big red machine guys who've saved a set right now and are struggling will cycle back to the lead really quickly. And if it runs green from there, I think they just win outright. So they could just win it off the strategy call if they get this next caution to fly at the perfect moment.
A lot of the big red cars kind of in a bit of a more of a disjointed pack. They're sort of in no man's land. They're struggling with the aero bubbles right now. It's all up front here where all the dogfight is for all these positions. Further up the grid, Brian Dees trying to look to the inside of Tony Hilbrand's, trying to score one final top 5 on the season for the MFRD number 7 Chevy Camaro. Tell you what, I mean, Sean Britt, you touted him as a driver that could get some momentum further up in the season. And I mean, Britt is a driver that I think has been, he's been quiet over the course of the season, right? I mean, he's always been there, but he hasn't ever had anything too remarkable. I mean, Lacey's had his moments, but Sean Britt only one win on the season to his name. He has not had, I think, the most remarkable season that you would expect for somebody in the Final Four. That one win that he had came at Circuit of the Americas, where he just ran away with the thing.
Sean Britt won at Circuit of the Americas? Did he really?
Yes, he did.
Was I not here for that race?
You were. We had a big talk about how young you had to be to get into a race sim while he was running away with it.
Wow, I have no recollection of that whatsoever. That's
well,
insane.
That's what I mean. Like, I mean, he's led a very quiet season. But, I mean, hey, sometimes quiet is good. It allows you to be able to slowly work your way up and be a bit of a driver that you didn't expect to be fighting here in the Final Four. And that's something that Lacey's now having to struggle with, is he's now trying to take that lead back.
Yeah, for sure. I mentioned early in the going that Sean Britt was going to be really quick on the short runs. But it's kind of been his long run pace that has scared me the entire year. I feel like he's just been lagging behind a little bit, and I think we're starting to see that now. We saw that he was able to take that lead pretty easy over Benjamin Lacey on that short run over the course of the first 10 laps. I think he may have just hurt those tires just a little bit. Now giving that lead back to Benjamin Lacey before they get to the start-finish line to take lap number 47. Not any doom and gloom yet. I really think he just needs to have a hold of the leaders and have that caution come out with about 20 laps to go. And I genuinely think he's got a chance to win this whole thing. But currently losing that second place position to Tony Hilbrands, who has that preferred outside groove when making a pass. I think the 92 is going to fly right on by, and it's going to be looking like the 41 is going to be the next one to put him under pressure.
I mean, you talk about being a bit scared of Benjamin Lacey's long-term pace, right? I mean, look back last week at Richmond. We were going off on some random tangent about the NASCAR playoffs and how much we think it was better in the good old days and all that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, Lacey ran down, what was it, like an 8, 7, 6, it was like a 6, 7, or 8 second gap up to the leaders. Ended up going for a bump and run on the final lap at what was one of the more memorable finishes of the season. Lacey's got that long run pace, but again, he's going to be quiet with it. Like, he's going to build that up over time. And he really knows how to handle this stuff for the long term. Right now, fewer cautions, the better for that number 7.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like for Benjamin Lacey in the 7, especially with him being on on new tires and having to save a set. I know I've been harping on that over and over, and I've said it, but I feel like this is such a big deal in terms of the strategy call at this point. I have to keep harping on that fact that he has not saved a tire set yet compared to the big red guys who have fallen way back in the pack. If this thing runs green, I think Benjamin Lacey just wins it because he'll be equal strategy with the big red guys. He'll have to save one, and they'll have to save a set under the same green flag cycle. And Lacey has stretched out the gap so large over those guys at this point. I mean, Ricky Hart Jr. is 14 seconds back because of those tires. Even with Lacey having to save a set later, it's going to be hard for Ricky Hart Jr. to run that big of a gap down. I'd be a little bit worried if I was those guys. If the caution does not come out, with only 14 drivers left in the field, it does kind of lend itself to being a caution-free race. So for Benjamin Lacey, that's what he wants to see. I'd be a little bit worried if I was those big red guys right now. But honestly, if I'm Benjamin Lacey, I'm worried too, right? It just depends on when that caution flag comes out. If it does, that could determine our champion here tonight.
Dalton Kilroe just got around Tony Hilbrands for a second, and Hilbrands right now the most improved driver this race, up 10 positions where he started. And I just want to say I still hold it in me that Tony Hilbrands is one of the most improved drivers on the season, right? I mean, we did not think he was going to be too many places earlier on in the season. I mean, he found a struggle to finish inside of the top 10 for really the first handful of races. But he right now has only 4 races by season's end where he has not finished inside the top 10. And he's got himself a top 5 run as well. So Tony Hilbrands by far has definitely improved so massively over the course of the season. It's just a shame he hasn't had the shot to go for the race win yet. He had the pace for it at Homestead Miami Speedway, but of course fuel mileage ended up getting the better of that 92 car, wasn't able to go for it. But the possibility is definitely there for Hilbrands to be a serious title contender next year.
That's a very fair point. And I got to point out, I believe he was either first or second in the season-long standings going into this race. So he's been Mr. Consistency the entire year, and unfortunately for him, that just wasn't enough to get him into the Final Four. Really shocking to see him so high up in the points and you know, not have a race win yet, not have an opportunity to run for the championship. But unfortunately for the 92, with the way the point system works out with it being in the playoffs, it just did not fall in his favor. Only missed out by a couple points after Richmond last week. A little heartbroken there for the driver of the 92, but to your point, he's been really consistent all year and has improved steadily the entire time. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do whenever they roll out the Gen 4 car here for the HTRL MF Racing Design Series next year.
Now that is, of course, not 100% confirmed yet. There was a vote that's been going on for the last little while between whether they were going to move to the Gen 4 car next year or the Xfinity car next year. Right now, vote is 17-6 in favor of Gen 4. That vote closes tomorrow, I believe. So not official yet, but we're going to Gen 4 next year. It's pretty much how we're going to be looking like. But yeah, that's how that's going to be interesting, right? I mean, Gen 4s are a car that I think is going to be really interesting. The style of driving, so different to what we're seeing here. We could see somebody completely different end up taking it to the top.
That's the thing. Those cars are they are honestly the most different cars compared to the next gen. The next gen, you're really just trying to keep the momentum up through the center of the corner. The Gen 4, you actually got to use the brake, get it down to the bottom of the corner, or find whatever line is best. And you can use the horsepower to power off of the corner, and you don't necessarily have to worry about the center of the corner speed quite as much. You can just kind of focus on the line and focus on your exit speed. Here, you got to keep the speed up all throughout the corner in the next gen. I mean, it is momentum racing everywhere in the next gen car. The Gen 4, not so much. I mean, it's still a stock car. There's still momentum racing styles of it, but you're able to manipulate the throttle, manipulate the brakes, manipulate the weight transfer in that car in so many more ways than you can the next gen.
It's going to be a whole new style to get something new over here for this series, especially when you're already so used to what we're running here tonight. And they only just rolled out the new templates as well. So these templates that we're seeing right now with these body styles, one-time thing for HTRL, but don't worry, we're going to see plenty of these on Thursday nights, Friday nights, Sunday nights, 3 different Cup Series all running the same car.
Oh,
so gonna be
it's 3 nights and it's 3 races in 4 nights? Man.
Yeah, Speed Cup Series on Thursdays, LTAC on Fridays, and then good old ASRL on Sundays. Whoa, bit of a touch there for Hilbrands getting into the side of Paul Wilson. We got a couple cars in the pit road. Michael Thorpe Jr. and Ricky Hart Jr. both down in the pit road.
this is where it really matters, that tire strategy. Obviously, Ricky Hart Jr. is going to come down, take 4 freshies. He's going to be able to be on the front foot now. Got to think Benjamin Lacey is going to extend these tires out as long as possible and come down pit road and probably save a set. I've got to say, this is probably the move for Benjamin Lacey. He's going to come down, and Sean Britt, going to come down and not take tires. And we've really got to pay attention to that gap between Ricky Hart Jr., Kevin Foster, and those front two of Benjamin Lacey and Sean Britt after they save that set of tires.
Turn two.
Ricky Hart! That's a championship 4 contender. Ricky Hart Jr. coming out of pit road has bent it down into the inside of the racetrack, completely taking himself out of contention here in the early going. Coming out of pit road from one of the earlier pit stalls, gets it through the gears.
Oh, that bump!
That bump! I didn't even know there was a bump down there.
It's very subtle. Well, you won't see it visually, right? But you'll feel it when you're going over it. And every race, it catches someone out. Every single time.
That's unbelievable. For the championship 4, he short pitted just a little bit over his teammate so he could get those 4 fresh tires on and start running down our leaders, and it's just all for nothing. I can't believe that from Ricky Hart Jr.
I am seeing a Michael Thorpe in our YouTube chat saying 34 take it home. I sorely hope that is Michael Thorpe Sr. If that's Junior, focus on driving the car. You're racing right now.
Look. If we've got a beer league on Wednesday nights where they drink in sim race, we can text in sim race, right?
I don't
YouTube
think.
Chat.
I think one of those is significantly harder than the other, on account of one of them involves taking at least one hand off the wheel for an extended period of time.
Ooh, okay. Well, disclaimer. Like 4 years ago, I ran a carb cup and I went full beer league. And I'm going to say that's harder than driving with my phone out. Well, to be fair, I've driven with my phone out with one hand under caution multiple times and have definitely just destroyed somebody. So I would argue they're relatively equal.
I've had to race control incidents where people were texting under caution, and usually results in a hefty penalty, to put it mildly. Got a good fight for 5th going on here. Scott Schur duking it out with Tony Hillbrands. Paul Wilson also in the fray. Now, Schur, one of the drivers that did take tires, so that's why we see him being able to power around these guys. Kevin Foster and Nick Nickerson, the next 2 drivers that are going down and into pit road. So 2 more drivers bailing out. One of those, again, being a championship 4 driver. And now I kind of feel like we should keep an eye on Foster's pit exit here, just for good measure. We'll see if he was paying attention.
Yeah, well, he's in voice chat with with Ricky Hart Jr., so I imagine he's going to. Yeah, I think he's going to hold it pretty close to the white and blue line. Now, I would be worried that he holds it too close to the white and blue line, and maybe he gets a black flag because he's trying to keep
Nick
away
Nickerson
from that bump.
just did.
What?
Yep, black flag. Believe speeding on entry.
That would have been speeding. I'm worried that Kevin Foster is going to go over the line on pit exit, but I think he's okay so far. Yeah, he's held it pretty good down there.
Fine.
But he should be on those new tires, like we mentioned earlier, and Benjamin Lacey, I think, is going to save on the next set. So I'm still, as much as I'm upset that Hart had that issue, there's still a little bit of strategy in play with Foster coming down pit road. Well, my goodness, Hart is actually still in front of Foster, even with that incident. What in the world is going on between the big red guys? How is Ricky Hart in front? He short pitted him by like 5 laps, so it makes sense a little bit, but he was stuck against the inside wall. How in the world is he still in front of Kevin Foster?
I think he'd be in front by a lot more if it weren't for that incident. But you know, remember, you're talking a 5-lap difference on fresh tires. That's a lot at a track like Charlotte. This track chews up tires, notoriously so. I mean, remember back 2005 when they paved this track with diamond grinding, how many tire issues they had throughout the entirety of the 2005 season and even into 2006 as well. This track is not kind to Goodyear's, so I don't think it's too much of a surprise to see how much time can be lost by staying out on old rubber.
Are we also surprised whatsoever that we've had one championship 4 contender have pit road mistakes and then his teammate, who's not in the championship 4, sped on pit road? I mean, goodness gracious, man. We said it last week that it was likely that one of them were going to do it. And I think I said it was a 100% chance. And, well, it happened on the first set of green flag pit stops.
I think you're right? I mean, I think I hate to say it, but I'm not entirely surprised. I was hoping maybe not, but Well, there's a reputation to uphold here, right? I mean, we've had a pattern. We've done it every single race. We had to get at least one. Now we'll see if Kilrow will slam into the pit barrels again, just like he did at Richmond.
Oh, dude!
Now,
you
granted,
can't do that to him. He had LASIK like 5 days before that.
Now, granted, I've seen a few people throughout 2023 across various series hit those pit barrels on both the Roval and Oval layouts. So it's not an impossibility. The chance is higher than 0.
I'm more worried about Benjamin Lacey. No hate to Kilrow. I'm loving that he's getting a good P2 run here going right now behind our guy that we've been saying is the favorite. I'm more worried about Benjamin Lacey because he is in the championship 4, and we've had all these pit road issues, right? I mean, we remember old Atlanta, we had our front 3 drivers under the same green flag cycle all got a pit road penalty, whether it be overshooting it and exiting pit road on accident through the grass or speeding. All 3 of our 3 leaders who are giving us a hell of a show. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw the same from Benjamin Lacey. I mean, he's got plenty of gap, right, to his teammate Sean Britt, so he should back it down and take it easy, but you never know, man. It's a championship race. The nerves are kicking. You got to think that, you know, if you're going to make a mistake, it's going to be now when the pressure's on.
Closing down halfway as well. Benjamin Lacey will not be too far away from pit stops. The fuel window estimated by Racing Control was 37-ish. Well, Lacey's going on 42 now. Now that is, of course, after you've had a good chunk of those laps ran under the yellow flag. So the possibility is still there for Lacey to be coming down. But I would be expecting a lot of these leaders to be in within the next little while. And one of those, Brian D's, just took to the lane.
Yeah, D's coming down pit road. Kind of stagnated there around about the 6th place position, I do believe. He looked pretty quick last week at Richmond. I talked to him over the week, trying to figure out exactly why he dropped down the running order, because he was just so quick. Turns out he ended up getting put in the wall coming out of turn number 4 and bent that suspension up like crazy. So he was just wearing that right front tire out the rest of the race. So a little bit of heartbreak last week from Brian Dees as he led just about the entire first half of that race. Trying to just have a good little comeback here in the last week, try to give himself some momentum going into that into the season, next season. Goodness gracious. Benjamin Lacey, though, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't come down pit road yet.
We'll be seeing him within the next little while. That much is an absolute guarantee from that number 7 Mustang. We know he's not going to be out there for too much longer, and well, thought he was slowing up for a hot minute, but nope, he is going to be keeping with it pretty steadily. One driver that is going to be in, though, Sean Britt, making the trip into pit road, 2 laps shy of halfway. And in fact, Lacey did actually come down. So Lacey with a very late pit entry then.
Yeah, he ended up making it down. Looked like he was all steady and safe. Looked like he got under that pit road speed limit. So no harm, no foul there from Benjamin Lacey, I do believe. Coming off, or here we see the replay there from the roof cam.
Very late entry.
That's a good entry.
No kidding.
He nailed that thing.
He definitely made up at least a couple seconds over Sean Britt with that one.
Watching him just to make sure he didn't get speeding. I don't think he did, though, putting on those left side tires. I'm interested. Both of them are putting on tires, and they ran it a little bit longer than we thought they could, right? You said 37 laps. I remember reading that as well. That's kind of what I was making my calculations on tires with. If they can make it 42 like they just did, they still got, what, one more set of tires right behind the pit wall, and they've only got 75 laps to go. So they're going to cut this thing in half and be totally fine on tires, I think. I think the only way that the saving tires is going to come into play for Ricky Hart Jr. and Kevin Foster is if we get that late race caution after Benjamin Lacey and Sean Britt have put on their final set, which will be in about 40 laps, 35 to 40 laps, give or take, as we see Leakey come down. So I think that's their win condition. That's the big red machines, the GFR guys, Ricky Hart Jr., Kevin Foster. That's their win condition. They got to hope a caution comes out with about 15, 20 laps left.
Watch the bump.
Man, that's a teammate from Ricky Hart Jr. who hit the bump, too. Things not over yet, right? Lacey's got a little bit of a lead over Britt, but the cautions could still fly at a poor time here for Benjamin Lacey, and it could throw this whole thing awry.
Kilrow getting a set of 4. He's going to be off and away. No surprises there. So Kilrow going to be turning back onto the racetrack in short order. And now just leave David Leakey, the lone driver that had yet to stop. And looking like Nick Nickerson with that speeding penalty had to wait for a lap. He will be the only driver that goes down a lap at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Thorpe and Greenwell, in the meantime, run 9th and 10th. But it's looking pretty spaced apart as, racing action will continue over here from the High Tide Racing League MFRD Racing Designs Cup Series. So good a time as ever to go top to bottom. This is your Green Flag TV midway race break. Benjamin Lacey still leads the way, now by 2.2 seconds over Brian Dees, who runs in second. Kilroe's back in third. Sean Britt, one of the drivers touted as a potential underdog, runs in fourth. He is second in the championship. Scott Shearer's fifth. Tony Hilbrands is sixth. Paul Wilson runs in seventh with Michael Thorpe Jr. in eighth. He's in a battle with Jason Greenwell for that number 8 spot. And David Leakey rounds out the top 10 here, Austin.
Ricky R. Jr. saw him have that little bit of an issue coming out of pit road. I say little bit, major issue coming out of pit road. Cost himself a ton of time in 11th. And then the fourth of the championship for Kevin Foster, not too far behind in 12th. Connor Gibson right behind Kevin Foster in 13th. Like you mentioned earlier, Nick Nickerson had that speeding penalty. He is a lap down currently, just looking for that caution. And the one driver out of the race so far is going to be Zachary Wareham in the 27th, who is in 15th place on pit road.
Only one caution so far in the day at lap 30. We are over halfway home in your final race of the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. We're going to step back. You won't miss a second. We're going side by side on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Battle is still on for third as we return to racing action here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Dalton Kilroe and Sean Britt have been steadily closing into Brian Dees. We've also got fights between Greenwell and Thorpe, and then Hart and Foster all still developing as well. But right now, the big story is Benjamin Lacey continuing to pull away, now 3.6 seconds clear of the field.
Yeah, Benjamin Lacey is soaring. He's flying. I mean, there's not a star in heaven that he could not reach right now. He is flying so high right now, going down into turn 1 so fast. If anybody got that reference, I apologize. But Benjamin Lacey going through 1 and 2 with a huge lead. 3.5, almost 4 seconds over Brian Dees. Dalton Kilroe in that 3rd place position. Sean Britt, our 2nd place in the championship for currently, just under 5 seconds from his teammate of Benjamin Lacey, with just about 59 laps to go as they're about to take the start-finish line. Benjamin Lacey does just now. Kilroe, I'd be worried if I was Lacey over Kilroe. I feel like Kilroe's probably on a little bit newer tires, or I know he's on a little bit newer tires just by a couple laps. I think he's done a good job of saving it. So Kilroe could run down that lead just a little bit over the 4-second gap. That's going to be a little tough for him to run down.
Yeah, just a little bit, you reckon? It'll be a bit difficult to get that one wound down. But, hey, still making good progress of it here. And he still is in a position where if Lacey does make a mistake, he is in a great position to capitalize still. Far enough back that he can check up if he has to, but close enough that he'll still be able to get a huge advantage out of it. Fight for second, continuing to close in. Brian Dees now under fire. Kilroe on 4-lap pressure tires, looking to lunge around the outside, coming through turn 2. And wow, that was close to the wall.
And with him making the pass, he's still cutting down another 0.2 of a second on Benjamin Lacey, wrapping that outside of the racetrack. So Kilroe is just a little bit quicker than Lacey right now on the little bit fresher tires. I'd just be worried that he's running them dry just a little bit here in the early going. Maybe running them down a little bit too quick. But I don't know. It's so hard to tell with these next gen machines how well you're saving tires, especially whenever you're offset just a little bit in terms of who's got the fresher rubber. But right now, Kilroe's doing a good job. Still cutting it down another 10th through 1 and 2 right there. That's all you can really ask for from the driver of the 41 currently. Just doing all he can to maybe run down that gap and at least give Benjamin Lacey a run for his money for the race lead. Man, look at that camera going down to turn 1. What is this?
Wow, that was... I did not know that was going to fly up. Whoa. I love these drone cameras sometimes.
What?
It's very hit or miss as to when you're going to get a good one and when it's going to be on the other side of the track because they're constantly in motion even when we're not on them. But my God, that was impeccable.
I was about to say, do we not have that for every track? Because that was...
I wish we did. You can talk to Track Cams 22 and the guy that runs that if you want, because he's the one that provided all the camera packs for us here.
That was incredible. I'm sorry, I can't get over that camera.
Yo, that was great.
Oh, my goodness. With 55 laps to go, Thornton Jr. holding on to that 9th place position over Greenwell here in the 83. You can see the front end of that 83's bumper is just a little messed up. That's not damage. That's just because we've got a new Ford Mustang, a new Toyota Camry, and he has not updated his paint scheme yet. Don't blame him too much. It's only been a couple days. And this is the only race that they're going to be running here in the HTRL MF Racing Designs Cup Series with the new Ford. Oh, Ricky Hart Jr. coming down pit road right in front of our race leader.
I'm just
hopefully has a little bit better job this time.
Look at the black stripes there. It actually gets more off-center when you get down to the actual grill itself.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that. We're going to go away from that real quick.
I was about to say, we were loving the drone camera. We need to get off that rear chase camera. Look at Greenwell's nose. That was a little rough. Not the camera's fault that time. Our producer just really wanted to look at that off-center nose.
It's worse because it's one of those things where you don't really notice it at speed, but when you notice it once, you're never going to be able to unsee it.
Yeah, don't look at the rear chase of Hilbrands right now because I think Shewar's got that same problem going on the nose. So
shall we check?
Let's check. I mean, you can if you want to. That's Shewar. Yeah.
It's not as bad. It's a little bit more subtle. Oh, good grief.
It does kind of look like he's just got a crease in the nose, like he's punched that thing in a little bit, and there's just a little black slit under the Ford Mustang logo, or under the Ford logo. But the Ford logo is off-center from the Mustang, or the little horsey. Oh, goodness gracious.
Is that Ford logo even there on the new template?
No, it's not, because I'm looking at Benjamin Lacey, who's got a new paint scheme for the Ford, and there's no Ford logo.
Well, we learn something new every day.
That looks clean without the Ford logo, I gotta say. I really like it. And I know that, you want brand identity, but you got the Mustang on the front end. That's enough brand identity as it is. Everybody knows what a freaking Mustang is. Everybody knows it's a Ford.
Oh, the taillights are a giveaway, too.
That's you ain't kidding about that. Does it say Ford anywhere on this thing?
I
mean,
don't think
goodness
it
gracious.
does. Oh, yes, it does. Right on the back bumper.
Yeah,
right.
He's got a license plate.
Yeah. Well, we'll get a good look when it comes around turn. You know the race is slowing down when we're looking for license plates on race cars, but we're going to work it at 3 and 4. And, Ben was actually showing this one off to me in DMs earlier this week. He was quite proud of his creation, and I can understand why. That thing looks very, very slick, but get a good look at the back bumper.
It's there. It's just really far.
Oh, so, okay. It says Ford, but it's not like the Ford badge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's literally just a license plate, and the state is Michigan, and the letters are Ford. So yeah, it's not like the logo. The logo's not on it, which is I kind of like it. I hope that's how it is in real life, because I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, his paint scheme, that's a pretty nice paint scheme that he's got set up, especially given the fact that this came out this week, right? So I mean, pretty short time for him to turn around that paint scheme and making it look that nice. As we see Thornton Jr. coming out of pit road in the Chevrolet, the only of the 3 manufacturers that really didn't see a change. I've kind of debated that maybe the nose is a little bit more angled down, like right above the Chevrolet logo. So
I still can't tell. Oh, he may have just gotten a penalty there.
Yeah, yeah, he might have touched the exit of the racetrack right above the blue and white line. We'll have to see.
We'll find out in a moment.
Yeah, coming around 3 and 4. He's on the bottom of the racetrack. Well, he's going around, so maybe not, but it was definitely close coming out of 2.
We'll keep an eye on our race control chat, and we'll see if we get some insights on that one. But if he goes around a second time, I think it's safe to say we're good to go. Jason Greenwell is also into pit road as our second run of pit stops are kicking off. And this is going to put us very close to the end of this race, but not quite there. Splash and go still on the cards.
Yeah, I don't think he can make it from here. So this is definitely a little bit early. A little sketchy here from Greenwell.
No, you can't. You can't.
Yeah, because you got to think. Yeah, that middle stint too. They had caution laps in there. That 40, little black stint.
Yeah, about 40 laps around there, I think.
Wait, how many did Kilrow make? How many? I can't see exactly what. Is that 45?
Yeah, 45.
Man, Kilrow made it a long time ago.
Again, though, that's with like 2-3 laps under caution.
That's a good point. So you got to think they got to make it to what, 42, 43 to go to be able to make it here. Man, yeah. He's just about rough coming up on the racetrack too, almost getting a penalty. I'm not surprised though. These guys love pushing the envelope on pit road, man. I just don't know what is up with these guys and why they want to just absolutely destroy every single one of their races on pit road, but I'm here for it.
Gives us something to talk about when the racing kind of dies off a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, you say that. It's definitely feeling that way currently, but I just feel like we're going to get that. It's probably going to be somebody coming down pit road that stuffs it in the barrels, right, and gives us that caution that completely throws this thing for a loop. I don't know. I just got like a spidey sense that it's going to happen as we see Kevin Foster come down pit road nice and tidy. Doesn't look like he had any issues, but still a lot of drivers that are still going to have to come down, including our championship leader, Benjamin Lacey. And he was a little aggressive last time, right? It looked very clean and tidy, but he gained time on everybody else on that pit entry. So I think that Lacey could be, he might even be listening to the broadcast and being like, I'm going to take it even easier just because they're talking about me. So I'm not quite sure. I'm just a little nervous for him, man. Every time I see one of these cars come down pit road, I just get a little scared.
I'm gonna miss this series. I mean, they're not gonna be gone for a long, granted. I mean, we're in the last week of January. They will be making a return. I think the date given to me was March 11th. That's of course still all tentative, depending on how everything shakes up in terms of planning this series. But that is looking to me like how things are going to line up. By the way, Nick Nickerson has taken his car behind the wall, so we'll have our third retirement of the race, pointing us down to just 12 cars that are on the racetrack. Only 8 on the lead lap, but we are in the middle of green flag pit stops, so not too much of a surprise on that deal. Kevin Foster, okay, it was only a 15-second stop, so Lacey's just that far ahead that he could put him 2 down. I was a bit confused for a hot minute as to why he was so far down. But yeah, March 11th, I think will be our return for the HTRL Cup Series, and we'll be seeing what these guys are going to be doing in terms of schedule-wise over the next little while. You can, we'll keep you up to date on our community page here on YouTube on how everything's going to shake on up for our second season of action once we get that news. Coming on up throughout the later portions of the week, tomorrow, the Omar Sorrell Truck Series will swing to the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. swing back up to Canada where the beer league left, and the race there should be a little bit more orderly than our beer league races usually are. Speaking of the beer league, they were going to run at New Hampshire Motor Speedway next week, but after having a record 47 cars in their last race at CTMP, they ended up making the decision to change it to Homestead Miami Speedway because New Hampshire didn't have enough pit stalls for a 47-car field. So Austin and I will be back in the booth for that one at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And the LTAC All Street Media Cup Series kicks off chase season with the first of 5 races at Watkins Glen International at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Friday night. And then, of course, not on this graphic, but still very much happening, will be, of course, race 2 of the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series. DJ Clark and I will be bringing you coverage of that one from the Summit Point Raceway. You missed a show, Austin, on Sunday night. 0.003 of a second photo finish, and it shifted back from the top lane to the bottom thanks to a bumper from your teammates.
Man, I am a little upset, but I shaved down the points lead in the league that I run, so I think mine was a little bit more important for me, you know. But still, I am upset I missed that. If it was on a different night, I would have loved to have been there. But going back to the schedule with the beer league, man, and going back to last year, it's incredible how many drivers they have gotten to be just consistent competitors in that league. Last year, I don't know if we had a race under 35. This year, over the first 3 races, I don't think we've had a race under 43. I mean, that is ridiculous for an iRacing league to consistently see 40 plus, and I guarantee we're going to see it again this week with at least 40 drivers. Just what the beer league is doing there on Wednesday nights is absolutely phenomenal. Got to give a big credit to all those guys over there that run that league. Chris Hannigan, Austin Tucker. I know I'm missing a handful. Mac Verstuppen. There's a bunch of guys over there that put that league just at the very top of its game week in, week out, and try to make it better every week as well with the ever-changing kind of X penalty system. So I got to give a big credit to all those guys over there, just being able to make such an amazing league. And got to give credit to Kilrow and a lot of these guys over here. Haven't had this one going for too long. Started out the season really, really hot. I mean, high car counts. As the playoffs kind of teetered on, we started seeing it fall off a little bit with the car counts, but the racing never really faltered. We've seen absolutely amazing races in here. Every single race in the HTRL MF Racing Designs Cup Series, as we see Brian Dees coming down from about 3rd place on the racetrack, giving up a little bit of track position, but this should be his last pit stop of the night.
Yeah, Brian Dees looking to make his final pit stop of the night here. And you mentioned it correctly, right? I mean, we maxed out the field, I think, at Auto Club. We were in the 30s at Daytona. We were in the 30s at Las Vegas as well. Phoenix is really the first race that saw a drop-off, and it went from about 30 down to the high 20s. It's since dwindled. The last 7 races, we haven't had more than 20 cars. We've had about the low to mid-teens. That said, though, the core group still puts on an absolutely phenomenal show week in, week out. They may not have the car counts that a lot of the bigger series have on iRacing, but they have a very strong core group, and I can almost guarantee you that all of these drivers are going to be back into the show for next season as well. And we maybe get some new ones. I know Christopher Bassinger, we saw him a few times throughout the course of the season. He ended up not being able to run the full-time schedule like he was hoping for because of work, having to call in so many times to work over the course of the season. He's hoping that will change, and I saw he was mentioning, and in fact, potentially even promising to be a full-time contender next season as well. So there's at least one more to add to the chart.
Yeah, and I got to be straight up as well. I feel like it's a little bit more difficult for next-gen leagues to maybe keep the car count up as high as well, just
so
because it is a little over. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of them. I think next year with the Gen 4 coming out here in the HTRL MF Cup Series, I really feel like that car count's going to stay higher just for the race car. I'm telling you, that race car is just better. I know that that's heavily biased, but goodness gracious, man, you can. If you were a race car driver and you drove both the race cars, you would pick the Gen 4 car over this thing every single day of the week, especially on iRacing. Now, I can't tell you about real life, but I'd be just about willing to guarantee you they'd be picking the Gen 4 in real life as well. I mean, goodness gracious, that car is just phenomenal as Dalton Kilroe's coming down pit road for what is likely his last pit stop.
And final pit stop coming down for Dalton Kilroe in the number 41 car as he's going to be working. Oh, look out! A crash in pit road, gets into it with Scott Schuer. Saw that coming the moment he started to turn in. Talk about miscommunication there in pit road.
Yeah, I mean, you can blame that on the LASIK. Oh, man, he's going to hate me. You can blame that on the LASIK eye surgery. didn't see Schuer coming out of the pit box. I mean, Schuer definitely could have checked up on the brakes a little bit, I suppose, and let him in knowing that Kilroe was going to come down. But, I mean, I don't know. They're just tough. They're both just parallel to each other, equal coming into the pit box. I think that's the second week in a row I made that LASIK joke on Kilroe, so I probably need to back off.
On board with Scott Schuer here, and we'll actually go with the helmet camera, so we'll really see if he did know. You see him in the mirror there, but now he's in the blind spot. I mean, he's in a blind spot there. I mean, you can't really see that the 41 is there, but that potentially falls back to that awareness, right, of the fact that you know this guy has a pit stall ahead of yours. I think you're right. It may have been a better choice for Scott Schuer to back out in that deal. Because while, yes, Kilroe definitely turned in on him, where's he going to go? I mean, he's got to make that pit stall. He can't just drive through. Scott Schuer's on his way out. You're losing, what, maybe half a second by slowing up enough to let him in. Yeah,
but I don't know. I think it goes to the thing of, you know, you don't have live spotters on iRacing. And you know what? On pit road, I don't think you have a spotter at all.
You don't.
Right? It doesn't tell you outside. So, I don't know. I'm hard-pressed to really call fault because, again, like you mentioned, he was in his blind spot. Maybe Schuer didn't even know that Kilroe had gotten to exactly that point. Maybe he thought he was a little bit further back to the right rear and Kilroe would have obviously let out, right? So, I don't know. It's just a tough situation all the way around. I mean, heartbreaking for Kilroe because I feel like it's the story of his season. He's been relatively consistent through the middle portion of the race. Has something terrible go on that completely takes him out of contention whenever it looks like he's got top 3 speed, right? I mean, he was running second here the entire night, just to who is probably going to be our champion of Benjamin Lacey. I mean, Kilroe had really, really great speed here tonight at the 1.5 mile of Charlotte Motor Speedway, but again, the bad luck bug that has gotten him all year long got him again in the championship race.
Just saw the fight for 8th come to a head with Scott Schuer breaking around Michael Thorpe Jr., bumping the number 34 down into 9. So Schuer continuing his charge back through the field, up towards the front. Dalton Kilroe and Paul Wilson. They remain tucked up line astern at the moment. 3.5 tenths of a second separating them. And we are still, for the most part, green or caution free in this race. Our lone caution so far has come at lap 30. We have been green ever since working into the final stages now of this race. We are into the final 30, and right about now, we've been getting ourselves set up for 15 to go, and we're only about an hour in, so we are making great time tonight.
And I think, I can't say this for sure, but I'm pretty confident because of Hart saving that tire set in the early going. I'm pretty confident he's got a set of tires left. And I'm pretty confident Foster does too, but Foster's lost that lap to where it kind of becomes a moot point. He's got to take the wave around if the caution comes out. But Ricky Hart Jr. being on the lead lap, 7th place, and I believe the only guy with tires. If this caution comes out in 7 laps, 8 laps, Ricky Hart Jr. is the favorite if he's got that set. I mean, honestly, the tire fall off is massive at this racetrack. So I think Benjamin Lacey would be an absolute sitting duck if Ricky Hart Jr. can come out.
Oh, trouble, Sean Britt! Sean Britt around on the front straightaway, and he's going to slam the inside wall. Big championship implications and no caution for the 55.
That's our 2nd place runner in the championship. That is the teammate of Benjamin Lacey. If that caution would have came out, it could have absolutely destroyed Benjamin Lacey. Oh my, what in the world? I mean, it looks like he lost a left rear tire on the front straightaway.
He hit the wall. I think he hit the wall here. Yeah, right there. That back end kicked out, and that may have broken the car.
I don't think it broke the car. I think he was trying to avoid the turf, which at any other racetrack I would agree with, but at Charlotte, you can drive right through that crap, and it doesn't feel like anything. So I think that he just kind of panicked a little bit coming off the wall and coming into that first kink down to the turf. I mean, we saw Tyler Reddick in real life do it last year. You can go through it. You can go through that right there, man. You don't have to go all crazy with the wheel, but the next gen, it's so hard to save whenever that back end is flailing around like that. It is. It is probably the toughest NASCAR vehicle to save after you've lost the back end. So I'm hard-pressed to put a lot of faults on him. It's just unfortunate. Fortunate, though, for his teammate that caution did not come out, because we were just talking about that a caution would hand this race to Ricky Hart Jr. Looks like Sean Britt's not going to be the one to bring it out. We still have a little bit of time, but that was almost it.
2 laps down. That is effectively game over for the driver. We were touted as potentially one of the underdogs to win the title. I think that's it. That's game over now. There's not going to be a change-up in position unless we get a yellow flag, which is something that Lacey does not want, but it could be a lifesaver for guys like Ricky Hart Jr. that still have a shot to get this title.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back and just kind of look at the scoring. Yeah, Ricky Hart Jr., he's got a set of tires. He's only pitted twice since that caution, and on that caution he did not take tires. So if a caution comes out, Ricky Hart would probably win this championship, and it would have been crazy ironic if it was Benjamin Lacey's teammate that brought it out, man. I mean, goodness gracious, that could have been absolutely crazy. And you got to think Ricky Hart Jr. was pumping his fist thinking it was going to happen. I mean, he must have been so excited seeing that 55 or hearing his teammates call the 55 wrecking down the front straightaway. Just super unfortunate there for Hart Jr. that it didn't come out, but Benjamin Lacey's got to be thanking his lucky stars.
22 laps to go. The battle is on. Thorpe trying to get around Ricky Hart Jr. for the number 7 spot. Is Hart going to take this one way up right next to the wall into turn numbers 1 and 2, firing down the back straightaway. David Leakey, though, on really fresh rubbers in the fray as well. Leakey on 20 lap fresher tires than the other guys in this battle for 7th. He's going to get by Thorpe. He's going to get by Hart, coming off of turn 4 as well.
Oh, man, putting the bumper to the back of a Championship 4 competitor, that's tough. And you got to pay attention behind these guys. Oh, man, they're just about to be 3 wide going down to turn 1. Thorpe Jr. sticking his nose in there, trying to get to the inside of the 28. That was tight. Still trying to make it work. But while these guys are fighting, while we were talking about the caution coming out, how it could hand the championship over to Ricky Hart Jr., right behind him is the race leader, Benjamin Lacey. If he puts him a lap down, it's not going to matter if the caution comes out. The thing's going to be over. Ricky Hart ain't going to have a chance. So Hart's got to be really careful here and try to hold on to that lead lap for as long as possible.
Well, yeah, I'm going to actually, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. Even if he goes a lap down, if he gets the lucky dog, then Hart's back to the lead lap and can still take the fresher tires under the yellow flag.
You're absolutely right, but he's side by side with a car that's about to go a lap down with him. So he's got to keep that lucky dog away from Thorpe Jr. So it's a really tight race here between these two to potentially be the lucky dog, potentially stay on the lead lap in front of Benjamin Lacey. But to be fair, they're hurting themselves. Them running side by side over and over is letting Benjamin Lacey close in even more. And this is super important to Ricky Hart Jr. He's either got to keep this spot over Thorpe Jr. or they got to get this thing single filed and try to pull away from Lacey.
Well, that's not going to happen because Lacey himself is on 15 lap pressure tires with these two. They're not pulling away. It's a matter of
he's
when.
Coming. He is flying. You're absolutely right. He's coming. Ricky Hart Jr. is just trying everything he can to stay side by side with Thorpe Jr. And Lacey is right there, man. He's going to be able to put these guys a lap down in no time whatsoever. This could end up being the race for the championship. You got to think about that caution coming out. Oh, Thorpe Jr. pinching him down into the second dog leg. Benjamin Lacey's there.
Now, the big problem for Hart, remember, you want to have a caution. You don't want to be the caution because then you don't get that lucky dog back. So he wants to fight this one out, but if he actually spins Thorpe out to bring this yellow flag out, he's not getting that lucky dog because he was involved in the incident.
So you're right, but to be fair, if he wrecks him before Lacey gets by, he wouldn't need the lucky dog, right? But they're still side by side. Lacey doesn't even know where to go. He's thinking, do I play it safe? Do I lap these guys? What in the world is going on right here? What should I do? And I think he's probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking about Ricky Hart having some freaking tires. So it looks like he's trying to help Thorpe Jr. just a little bit, but also just playing it safe. Ricky Hart surprisingly giving Lacey the outside here. That's a little concerning. He's probably just going to have to try to follow him through to be able to make the pass on Thorpe Jr. as well. Man, it's going to be tight coming out of turn 4.
Lacey right up by the wall, trying to lap the final playoff contender that is on the lead lap. Now side by side, Hart fighting for his life right now, trying to stay on the lead lap. He is pleading for a caution to come out. He needs one if he wants to stay in this fight for the championship. If he goes down a lap and then Thorpe gets lap 2, it is effectively over. He's going to get single file now, but Lacey finally sets up the run, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, he's going to have it.
Or is it?
Oh, Ricky Hart is only going to have about half a lap here for that caution to come out. If it doesn't come out in the next half a lap and Thorpe Jr. gets lapped, it's over. I mean, I just don't know if Ricky Hart can make the pass, and it looks like it's going to happen right here. Lacey, you're on the outside, but can Ricky Hart follow him through? Can he get that lucky dog back away from Thorpe Jr.? Oh, he's just a little tight out of turn 2. Thorpe's going to slide across his nose. It's not going to be possible right here out of 2. Lacey able to lap the entire championship field here. And it looks like Ricky Hart is going to be stuck a lap down and not be in that free pass position.
And Hart knows it. He's bailing to pit road to take that final set now, just in case. This might actually work out for him, because if he comes out, stays only 1 lap down, gets a caution, then he can stay out and get the wave around the pace car to get back onto the lead lap that way. So Hart knew when he got lapped, it was over. He's bailing out the pit road now, so at least that way he can set himself up for a potential shot if a late yellow does come out.
I like the thought process, but Benjamin Lacey's already out of 4. Ricky Hart only, well, did he just take gas?
Yep, gas
I don't even
only.
think he was trying to stay on the lead lap. He was trying to do it to where he could at least take the wave around. It's not gonna happen.
That's it.
Ricky, Benjamin Lacey just went around. That's, God bless. That's, I mean, there's a little bit of strategy in it. Sean Brick took himself out, but the fact that Benjamin Lacey now has a lap and a half gap on the next championship contender. I mean, that, I've got to say, that just shows how freaking dominant Benjamin Lacey has been this entire season. He has been, I got to say, far and away the most consistent out of anybody, winning the most races, has looked the best, and with 11 laps to go, it looks like he's going to run away with the win and the championship. Just massive credit to Lacey for this entire year. But we got 11 laps to sing his praises.
Sean Britt is towed.
What in the world happened to Britt this time?
Oh, I think he may have just called it quits. He just went down a 3rd lap. There's a lot of damage to the left-hand side as well. We'll take a look back at this one. This is coming off at turn 4 again. Oh, he tracked way too tight and slammed the outside wall. That broke the car, so he pulled that one down to the infield, and he just decided to call it from there.
At that point, it's probably...
He came into this race screaming and ends up leaving with the whimper.
It's kind of mean. Oh, but yeah, I mean, that's a hard hit to the outside wall. It definitely takes out the right front suspension there from the 55. Unfortunate, but I mean, I gotta, you know, kind of go run through the field a little bit, right? Ryan D's making a big comeback after last week, where he kind of got the short end of the stick, leading the first half of the race, looking really good, like he could have won that thing, and got put in the wall, bent his right front suspension. Now he's running second just to our championship leader of Benjamin Lacey. So big credit to Brian Dees. Not too far behind him, Tony Hilbrands. I mean, very well could have been in the championship 4. Honestly, just was not great on the long run at Richmond. Just seemed to burn up his stuff just a little bit early, kind of put himself on the back foot. Again, another good run here, trying to hold on to that final podium position from Dalton Kilroe to kind of end his season of consistency. Dalton Kilroe has been madly inconsistent. He's had the speed all year long. Looked like he had the speed to win a couple races, perhaps challenge Benjamin Lacey for the race win here tonight if the cautions fell the right way. Unfortunately for him, doesn't look like it's going to happen, as he had a little bit of pit road mishap with
you want to repeat that?
That's pit road, but a slipping slide of urine. Anyway, Kilroe running in 4th place. Never in my life would I think slip and slide made of urine would come out of my mouth.
Dear.
But anyway, Kilroe running to that 4th place position. Just gotta try to prove that the inconsistency was a fluke, and he can get a good top 3. Maybe we can interview him at the end of the year. I can't stop sweating after what I just said. But just got to give a credit to everybody in the top 4. Even Paul Wilson, he's had a little bit of a struggle here today, finding himself in that P5 spot. Really wild kind of top 5, kind of topsy-turvy that we're seeing here from the top 5 drivers. But it's surprising to see that Wilson's the front runner of the GFR camp, you know, seeing 2 of those guys in the championship 4. No disrespect to Wilson. He's won a race this year at Pocono, I believe it was. But really thought that we were going to see Foster and Hart come in here with a little bit more to challenge Lacey for the championship.
Oh, well, the top 5 are still stretched out all the way around the racetrack. This fight for 3rd is the last battle we got on the racetrack between Hilbrands and Kilroe, trying to go for some last-minute glory for the both of them to see if they can't finish their seasons off on a high. It's a good point stay for the both of them, but it won't be enough to change either their positionings in the overall championship. But 5 laps left to go, coming to 4, this time by. It's been a long, long championship, but I think we are going to definitely be crowning a very worthy champion here at the end of the night.
I think that's probably the most accurate statement of the night, right? We've kind of dogged on the playoff system. I mean, you aren't the biggest fans. It's got its entertainment value, but we're not necessarily the biggest one race championship fans, but here tonight, it's going to crown the guy that should have won. I don't mean to put down any other 3 in the championship 4 or any other guys that ran in the series all year long. Lacey was just the best, right? I mean, he was the most consistent. He looked to be the fastest here in that next gen machine, and I can't wait to see what he does in the Gen 4 next year. I got to imagine, I know that they're totally different race cars and two totally different styles, but man, if you can figure it out in one car on an oval, you can figure it out in a bunch of different ones. So I can't wait to see what Benjamin Lacey can do next year whenever we add 250 horsepower.
For the driver of the number 7, he will take the cross flag this time by, so 2 laps to go, only one more car to lap, and that would be David Leakey if he even gets to him here in these closing few laps. It's been a commanding season from the 7, I think it's safe to say, and he's just been in complete control of this race from the get-go.
Yeah, we were making a big deal of the strategy, and if it happened at the right point, right, Ricky Hart Jr. would have won this thing. We were harping on it big time, but if that caution comes out whenever Sean Britt spins out, Ricky Hart wins this championship just off 4 fresh tires. But because of that caution not coming out and Benjamin Lacey being so fast all night, he's going to come to that white flag and give himself an opportunity to lock up the championship here at Charlotte.
It's been a long and trying 20 races for the number 7 car. He will end the season with 16 top 10s, 12 top 5s, looking to make it 6 race wins. And with this 6th and final win on the championship, he will get to call himself a championship. Benjamin Lacey, the champion of the inaugural High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series season.
I know we've said it over and over, but the most deserving driver comes home and wins the championship here. Big congratulations to Benjamin Lacey. Unbelievably fast on every type of racetrack that we ran at this season. You see the congratulations from the competitors. Brian Dees tapping them there in the left rear quarter panel. Michael Thorpe Jr. giving him a little door tap going down into turn number 3. I think Benjamin Lacey has a lot of respect from his competitors here in the HTRL MFRD Cup Series. And you just see it from everybody coming up. Dalton Kilroe, top 4 competitor here of Ricky Hart Jr. in the 28. A lot of respect between a lot of these drivers.
He will get to burn it down, and he'll give us our final burnout of what was a very, very exciting season over the course of this thing. And he's going to do it in style as he slams right down and nearly to pit road at America's Home for Motorsports.
Yeah, you can tell the new grass physics didn't make it over to the turf because he just kept sliding down there.
Well, that is pretty much turf. It's worth noting. What a way to close out the season in absolute domination. Wiped the floor with the field today, and we'll get the chance to talk to him and all of our podium finishers after the conclusion here of your race results. And speaking of which, let's get into that now. We'll show you how everything lines on up, finishes on out for the final race here of the inaugural season. Benjamin Lacey, the winner by 5.5 seconds over Brian Dees. He is your new HTRL MFRD Cup Series champion. Brian Dees takes it home in second. Tony Hilbrands was third. Dalton Kilroe in fourth. Paul Wilson fifth. Scott Schuer sixth. David Leakey seventh. Kevin Foster finishes 2 laps down. He will pick up second place in the championship in 8th. Michael Thorpe Jr. is 9th. Ricky Hart Jr. will be in 10th. He is 3rd in the championship.
Jason Greenwell going to bring it home in 11th. Sean Britt, our final of the 4 championship contenders. Looked like he was going to bring it home second in that final 4, but unfortunately just had a couple issues down the stretch trying to catch up to his teammate of Benjamin Lacey. Nick Nickerson going to bring it home in 13th with Connor Gibson in 14th and Zachary Wareham in 15th.
So that is it then. Those are the final race results over the course of the championship here in this one. We'll get the chance now to speak to everybody here at the end of a very long afternoon, and we'll look to kick things off first and foremost with none other than the champion himself, Benjamin Lacey for 785 Racing. Tell you what, it was a very long championship, and this one was a long time coming. It is complete. domination for the number 7 here this afternoon. Ben, you take the championship by 5.5 seconds over Brian Dees, and of course by several points over drivers further down the field. Walk us through the season as a whole, because boy, it was a long one.
Oh yeah, long season, but just a fantastic group of dudes out here, man. From everybody that's done a part, a lap on this league, man. It's been super fun, and just grateful for everybody being a part. Nolan, Austin, you guys, just putting on a great show every single week. So appreciate that work, man. And it's been one heck of a fun season, dude. Probably one of the actual better ones I've ever had. I don't know, these cars are actually kind of fun for me. A lot of people hate them, but right now I'm kind of digging them. So I'll take that for what it's worth. But absolutely a fun season. Great job by everybody. So I just want to make sure they all understand it was not an easy one by any means.
Overall, I mean, for you, it was, the closest contender for you here this afternoon was always going to be Sean Britt entering this race. And he was looking like he was going to give you a pretty big fight there in the first half, but then, of course, mistakes cropped up in the second half, which ended up with the 55 car making a bit of a quiet exit from the title fight. But kind of tell us when you came to the realization that you were going to be in for an easy win.
I wouldn't say I was ever thinking I was going to be in for an easy win, especially the way that race started. We were all just kind of nose to tail there. Dalton was looking pretty fast. I knew Sean was going to be pretty fast, so I knew it was going to be basically kind of who's going to make the least amount of mistakes. That's kind of where I was like, all right, we need to focus up on entry to pits, exit to pits, and just hitting the marks and being smooth. And then once the first cycle of pit stops kind of rolled through, and I seemed like I kind of gained a little bit of time on entry and exit there on them, and then from there it was just kind of running it. And then I figured out on the very first run, about halfway through the fuel run, so we could go about 40 laps, but around lap 20 on it, start shifting down into fourth gear in the corner, and that really started picking it up. So that was kind of nice, kind of kept things going forward a little bit more. But probably wasn't till that last pit stop that I started feeling a lot more secure about the position on it.
Looking forward into the season, into season 2 going forward, I believe March 11th is set to be the sort of unofficial tentative start date for the second season, and looking like it'll be a switch to the Gen 4 Cup cars. Obviously, very, very different to how these next-gen cars run, the Gen 7s. Are you going to be able to go for that title defense then in season 2?
A completely different beast, completely different car. Who knows, man? There's so many good drivers in this league. So, there's a lot of guys in here who have some experience with running that car. Dalton is for one. I think, Austin, I'm super hopeful that you'll be with us next season as well, because I know you guys run in a similar league with Gen 4 cars. So, that just a lot of different guys will probably have some good experience with that car. So I don't think it's going to be the same type of season for me next year for sure. I think you'll see kind of the strengths of some of the other drivers come through with that car.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck then when we go racing back in March. For now, though, we'll say farewell to you for the final time over here in this inaugural season. Congratulations on the win and the championship. We'll see you in March.
Thank you. I just want to give a couple shout outs here. Sponsor on the car is Filming the Wild and Real Earth Films. They do nature documentaries. So for those of you who are watching it and that's kind of up your alley, go ahead, look them up on YouTube. It'd be youtube.com/filmingthewild, and then realearthfilms.org if you're interested in catching up on what you're doing there. And as always, if you guys aren't subbed to Green Flag TV, give them a sub, and I appreciate all the hard work everyone does. Thank you, guys.
That was Benjamin Lacey joining us up here in the broadcast booth at the end of a very, very commanding championship here to close out the season. We will move on down to the second place in the race. It is +6 on the afternoon for Brian Dees. Bit of a quiet exit of the season for Dees, but hey, a second place is still a second place. Austin, you're standing by with our runner-up.
Yeah, we're going to need the producer to put a and counter at the bottom of the screen here for this interview for sure, because me and Brian both have the bug, unfortunately. But, Brian.
I think we should just get a shock collar or something every time we say it. We just get a little zap.
That's a good idea. We're going to have to do that for well, there's the first one. We're going to have to do that for the Gen 4 League. I'm trying really hard not to do it. But, Brian, Coming home second place here today. You look like you were going to be dumb quick last week. Looked like you should have had the race win, and so you got the suspension damage. Coming in this week, only losing to the guy that won the championship. Cannot feel too bad, especially after the long 125 lap green flag run that we saw to the end of this thing. You only finishing 5.5 seconds off of our most consistent driver of the season. Just kind of walk us through your night and talk about your season as a whole, because I feel like you were, if you could have made that one race in the round of 8, you would have been in the final 4 and would have been able to give Benjamin Lacey a run for his money here tonight.
Yeah, well, I'll try to keep the to a minimum as well.
Does that
So
one count?
No.
All right, we'll be nice. We'll be nice.
come on, give me some slack here. I'm trying. Yeah, so then Charlotte is one of my favorite tracks on iRacing, period. I always seem to do well here, so definitely was excited about this being the championship race coming into this one tonight. But oh, there's one. Damn it. Yeah, so it was coming in. It was definitely a fun season. Stop it! You're gonna make me crack up, and this is all gonna go to crap. It was a great season. Definitely had the speed throughout the season, I think, to be up there contending. Unfortunately, missed a few of the key races coming down the stretch into the playoffs, so wasn't able to make the Final Four, but definitely looking forward to next season. As far as tonight goes, like I said, it's definitely one of my favorite tracks. I was kind of just planning on saving early and pretty much saving the whole night. Kind of worked out in my favor. I think towards the end I realized that shifting was kind of helping that as well. It wasn't getting as tight and wearing out the right front as much, so definitely helped out a little. And yeah, I mean, you can't be too upset finishing 5.5 seconds behind the championship winner, so I'll definitely take it.
So I feel like I already know the answer to this next question, but we did ask Benjamin Lacey a little bit about the Gen 4 car. How are you feeling about that being the leading contender for the series next year, starting on March 11th? I know you've been running a little bit of the Gen 4. How are you feeling coming into next season with that race car?
I think you know a lot about how I feel about the Gen 4 car. I'm definitely excited about it. It was my vote as well, so definitely looking forward to that and hope that holds on for the win.
Well, Brian, congratulations on your P2 finish here. It being the last race of the season. Or is there anybody you can shout out? I know you got that big MF Racing Designs scheme on that number 17. I imagine there's a couple that you gotta give some shout outs to.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to shout out Michael Falk. He's the title sponsor and the sponsor of this MFRD Chevy Camaro. So definitely thanks to him for everything he does. Thanks to all the admins who put this league on and came up with the idea for it and everything. It's definitely a lot of fun. Hopefully going into next season, we'll get the numbers up a little bit and keep it going. Also got to thank you guys up in the booth, Green Flag TV. You're one of the best broadcasting teams in the business. So definitely appreciate you guys making us look good every week.
Well, we appreciate you, Brian, and thank you for coming up to the booth with us. I got to point out our I just ruined it because I just added one to it. But Nolan added. It went from 4 to 6, man. I saw it. I saw that. You're trying to cheat us a little bit. It went from 4 to 6 one time.
I counted 2 in one sentence.
Oh man, that's a little tough. Well, I think 2 of those were mine and 6 were Brian, so I think that I win a little bit on that one. There's another one. But anyway. That makes it 6 to 3.
There's still time. The interview's not over yet.
You talked a little bit more than I did, so I don't know if I need to keep talking to make it even or end this so that I win. But regardless, congratulations on your P2 finish. Not quite the win tonight, but setting yourself up greatly for that next season in the Gen 4 car. Looking forward to see what you can do and if you can take that fight to the number 7.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you next season.
That was our P2 finisher of Brian Dees. Next up, we're going to look at Tony Hilbrands, our P3 finisher, able to bring it home in that podium spot here in the last race of the season.
I counted 9 total ums throughout the entirety of that. That's combining both from you, Austin, and, of course, Brian Dees. We will move down to our third and final driver here on the podium out of Rock Rapids, Tony Hilbrand, number 92. And, of course, a very commanding 5th place in the championship overall, a podium for that final race as well. Overall, Tony, I mean, it's been a wild season, right? Started a little bit nowhere, but you've been showing more and more over these last several races. You've got the ability to be up there fighting for the top spots.
Well, first I want to congratulate my teammate Ben on winning the championship. And like you were saying, did pretty well this season. I did score more points than anyone on the season. It just, kind of sucks for this format. But yeah, I hate these cars, so I'm glad this is over and we're going on to something else next season.
And from what I understand, possibly a new format as well going into next season. I'm not 100% sure if that's a guarantee yet, but we've already gotten other drivers' thoughts on it, right? The Gen 4 is going to be making a run, it's going to be making I guess its debut here for HTRL. Can we expect to see that 92 car fighting for wins more and more frequently in that machinery?
I'll be up here half the season.
Oh, bold words. Well, I'll be holding you to that one. I can promise you that. But again, it's a new season, about another 20 to 22 race campaign getting set for us here when we kick things off in March. What's going to be the goal for season number 2? Well,
as long as I can stay away from the craziness with some of these guys and the wrecks that happen. As long as I hit my marks, I'll be up front and I'll be worried about finishing the top 3 every week. Those are the best cars on iRacing. They require the most amount of skill in the seat. They're also they're just fun. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope to just show that I'm the best out here next season.
Well, fingers crossed, you will be showing that you'll be the best. You're definitely one of them, and that was made very, very apparent tonight, again, with another good drive to the field. Plus 10, you finished 3rd to close out the championship. Thanks for joining us up here tonight, Tony, and congratulations on that final podium. We'll see you in the spring.
Yeah, thank you guys, and great job all season with this. Looking forward to next season with you guys.
And thank you, Tony, for the kind words. And, in fact, thank you to all of the podium drivers for the kind words for us here up in the booth. That was Tony Hilbrands out of Rock Rapids joining us up here tonight from 3rd on the podium. Austin, that was it. That was our last interview that we had here on this afternoon. But, boy, next season, right, it's coming up in March. I don't know if you're going to be there with us. I hope you will. I really do.
Same.
But regardless, it's a brand new car, right? This championship could look very much like it was how this season in terms of who's going to be up there fighting for the top spots. We could see some people come in from absolutely left field and just scrub house with that car. It's going to be such a different season to now, right? The pack racing in particular that we see at so many mile and a halves, it's not going to be there anymore. Those cars are not good for pack racing on mile and a halves. They are really hard to control. And like Tony was saying, that's part of why they're so popular.
Yeah, I agree with Tony Hilbrands 100% whenever he said that they're the hardest car to drive on the surface or they take the most talent. Agree 100%. I mean, those things are difficult to control no matter what corner you're in, no matter what track you're at. And then you got to take care of the right rear tire so much. You can't just full throttle that thing off the corner. You got to feather it. You got to really ease back under the gas no matter where you're at. It's phenomenal. A beautiful race car that, if it wasn't for safety, they should have never gone away from. So I'm so thankful that you can't get hurt on sim racing unless you break your finger. I've heard of a couple people doing that. But you know what? I'll take a broken finger over a broken neck any day. And on the surface, of course, you're getting this broken finger. So I'm excited to see those Gen 4 cars next year. Cannot wait. I mean, absolutely phenomenal race cars. And I know these guys are going to put on a amazing series next season.
And that next season will be coming on up when we go racing in March. Coming on up on March 11th will be the next race. We kick things back off for the High Time Racing League MFRD Designs Cup Series. Coming on up again later in the week, the MSRL Truck Series will be making a swing to the road courses. For the one road course on the season, it will be the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for round number 4. The Beer League will have its 4th race, return to the Sunshine State to go racing at Homestead Miami Speedway and their infield road course. And then, of course, continuing to look through the week, the LTAG All Street Media Cup Series will see its chase season kick off at Watkins Glen International. It's really a week for road course racing. This is the only oval race that we have in the entirety of the week, because on Sunday, the ASRL Cup Series will also make its appearance at the Summit Point Raceway. DJ Clark and I will be with you for every single lap of that race as well. But for us here from the High Tide Racing League, it's finally time to bid these guys farewell. It's been a very thrilling 20-race season, and rest assured, we are going to be back and covering every single lap when we go racing back once again on March 11th. You can tune in to all of the action and more by subscribing today on Greenfly TV, and we will see you in the next one.